What does it mean to be an empowered woman? Welcome to Empower Podcast, the space where we amplify the stories of ordinary, extraordinary women to inspire, uplift, and ignite change. Today's guest is a powerhouse whose career lives at the vibrant intersection of arts, culture, and community. Amelia, I am so honored to have you on Empower Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. A powerhouse. I love that. I'm going to run with that some more now.
Nice. Let's break the ice a little bit. Tell me, who is Amelia?
I mean, that is a big question. That we could use the full time to discuss who am I. I am a human being, first and foremost. I am a human being who really loves community, who loves creativity. I am a woman, which shapes a lot of my experiences. I'm a mixed race black woman, so that shapes a lot of my experiences. I'm a working class woman, so that shapes a lot of my experiences. And I am someone, well, if I go a bit deeper, I could say I'm a spirit having a human experience.
Love
that. If I go a bit deeper, yeah.
Love it. Oh my God. I think this conversation is starting already with the right fit. I love it. So you mentioned a little bit, you have a very rich background. You come from experiencing contemporary theater. There is a bit of poetry and spoken words in your past. How did those early days on stage shape the way you navigate the world of hosting and broadcasting today?
I think I've always been drawn to like the stage and performance. And actually I've sat down and really thought about this because at the time growing up, I wanted to be an actress. But I realized that was the only thing that was visible to me as something I would really enjoy and I felt like I was good at. But really, now I'm in the space of hosting, facilitation. I think it's about looking after people in a way. And I think when you go to shows as well, the actors are there to like look after you for an hour or an hour and a half or however long it is and really like transform the space, take you somewhere else back in time, evoke emotions. And I think, yeah, that's what the practice of performance gave me, like me knowing and understanding my power and what I can bring into the space and how you can include people and take people on a journey and look after them. And I mean, we all choose different ways of how to use our power within spaces. Some people might actually want to divide people and make people feel less than and stuff. But I've always enjoyed transforming a space somehow and taking people on a journey and allowing them to leave with something that maybe they didn't come into the space with. So, yeah, on a, I guess, a wider lens, that's what performance done for me, but also expression as well. I think it's really important that we have those practice spaces for expression. I'm a big believer, and I think a lot of children, I think all children should be able to have drama classes and go into theatre spaces and be silly and be different forms of themselves and explore who they are and who they aren't and take up space. Because I think actually, I know public speaking is a great fear for a lot of people. And actually for me, it's never really been a fear because I've been practicing it from a long time. It is basically the art of public speaking performance. So yeah, it was the foundation and it is the foundation of everything I do now. And even simple things of like breath work, I even carry that into the spaces I do now when it's facilitation, because that's something you learn when it comes to theatre is breath work. Your diaphragm is so important in terms of voice projection, but breathing and pace and presence and all of that. And it's so many things actually on a philosophical level allow us to be more present in everything that we're doing, to connect with people, because also that's what performance is. It's allowing you to connect. So that's what I carry into everything that I do now.
I'm curious, when was your first experience on stage? Do you remember?
Absolutely. So, I mean, there was the one when I was in nursery and I was the lead in my nursery, I think nativity play or Christmas play. And I actually didn't perform. I decided there and then in a true diva fashion. I saw my mum and I thought, she was sat down and I was like, I'm going to go and sit with my mum. And she's got it on camera. And I actually just said, no, I'm not going to perform anymore. So there was that as nursery. However, the one that probably means the most to me is I was about 14 and I performed for the first time on Hackney Empire's main stage, because they have a program still running today called ADP, which is Artist Development Program. Within the summer, it's 2 weeks, and they allow a lot of young people. I think the ages are like 13 to 18 or 13 to 17, and you work with industry professionals and you create your own show, and it goes on the main stage and it's open to the public. People can come and watch it. And that, I think, for me really cemented this is what I want to do. And what is so interesting is one of my characters in that performance was a host, was a presenter.
There you go.
So I don't know if I was
you
writing.
Manifested it.
Yeah, I was playing a host for a TV show. So I hope the TV show is coming soon.
But we had the radio show,
exactly.
So why not the TV now?
TV's next.
Watch this space.
Exactly, exactly. It is next. Yeah.
I love it. And I know you have a very diverse experience, and I'm just like, I'm thinking, was it there? You already mentioned a little bit, but was it there a thread? And is there still a thread that connects everything you do and all the spaces that you decide to walk in?
Yeah, and that's something I've had to think about as someone who is multifaceted. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to people, so you have to make it make sense. So my thread in terms of like, for me, what it is that I bring is one, my voice. My voice is the tool that I'm selling, basically, whether it's on radio, whether it's facilitating workshops in schools or community spaces, whether it's hosting live shows, whatever it is, it's my voice. But then the other threads, like I've mentioned before, is creativity, connection, and also, allowing people to feel as if they matter within the space as well. And that comes from me being in spaces where I've not felt like I've mattered so much. And I know what it feels like to kind of feel like, why am I here? Does anyone actually want me here? So I think it's really important for people to feel valued within spaces as well. So a lot of my work is like about co-creation, co-producing ideas, so yeah, I'll say that those are the threads: creativity, connection, impact. Also, actually having an impact, because I've had to get really strict with jobs I won't do as well, and I realize I'm not very money driven. I've worked in sales. I hated it, and I came away from it. Because I was like, okay, great, I've got the gift of the gab, but I want to believe in what I'm actually saying. Mm-hmm. So it has to come from something I genuinely believe. And I think that's why when I go into spaces and it does align with my values, people feel that and they believe it. And they're like, oh, actually, I love your facilitation style, or I love your presenting style. I have to believe it. And sometimes I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot, because it's like, I could just be making more money by saying things I don't actually believe, but I'm taking the long route. Mine is maybe the path less traveled, is like, actually, I want it to align with me. And actually, yeah, sometimes that does mean turning things down or not taking maybe the quote unquote easier route, or yeah, the more, what's the word, popular route.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is resonating with me so much, and I think also with so many of our listeners, because I found out as well with myself and my career and what I'm doing, that I have to say no sometimes, because it doesn't really align with my values, what I believe in, and what the impact that I want to make, and what I want to live in this world, when I'm living. So, and it's very easy to say yes, because money, we all need money. Mm-hmm. So, people will tell you like, why would you give up this opportunity? But then it's staying true to yourself that really matters, especially then when you move in a creative field, in places where you work with many vulnerable communities, with more underrepresented voices and communities. I think it's really, really important to stay connected to your true values. So this was like, yeah, really me. I can see myself and many other women for sure.
Yeah.
I noticed with all the women I interview on the podcast, there is a thread that whenever they either launch a business or they create a project or they decide a career, it always comes also from a place of, I didn't have that opportunity growing up. Or like you said, I felt like I was not welcome in certain spaces, or maybe it's a lack of representation. So as a woman in the industry, in the creative industry, what are some of the challenges that you faced and how you have overcome those?
So what personally for me to like get into these spaces?
Maybe for you to get into these spaces, but also some challenges that you still see.
I definitely feel barriers within like the radio world as well. I think, is it oversaturated? It kind of feels like that. I think there's less movement in the radio world because of the fact that when you have a show, if that presenter is very well established, and even how they've gotten there sometimes is down to certain privileges as well, then they tend to won't move on anyway. So I think one thing that I've struggled with and I find really exhausting is constantly trying to prove my worth to people and prove my value and be like, give me a chance. And I know my audience. I know what I bring to the table, quote unquote. I know what my value is, but you don't see that yet. And sometimes people can't see past their own biases sometimes. So I've definitely felt that as a barrier, especially within the entertainment industry, the music industry. There are a lot of barriers. I mean, there's also class barriers as well, and money barriers and access and things like that. But then also my own internal barriers of once upon a time not asking for what I was actually worth. So the barriers of actually saying, no, the price is higher now. Do you know what I mean? Or asking for fees that I deserve, or asking for more resource for things. And I know that that's come from my experience of being a woman and being a girl, because we've been socialized in a way to shrink ourselves and be people pleasers and kind of be happy with what we are given. And asking for more is like, how dare you? But I've come to learn that that's called audacity, and men have a lot of that sometimes. So matching the audacity with your male counterparts as well, because actually, I mean, I've worked very closely with a lot of men in the industry, and sometimes I find it eye-opening, and I need that shake-up, that their approach to things are slightly different, and it is a bit more, well, why not? Apart from I might be like, oh, but why would they go for me? Or why would someone say yes to this idea? Like really close friend of mine would be like, well, why not? Why wouldn't they? And I think sometimes it is that mental barrier that we have, and it is that imposter syndrome, dare I say. And it's like, I know as women we hear that all the time, that we have it, and unfortunately it is something that we do feel, and statistics do show women feel imposter syndrome more than men. So then there are those barriers as well. I think also it's a catch-22 sometimes, because I think living in London is like the land of opportunity, and 100% there is so much opportunity available to us all the time. Even us sitting right here right now in a podcast studio, the fact that there is even options of different places to go and stuff like that. However, the cost of living feels like a barrier as well.
Absolutely.
It feels like a barrier, because it's like, it's great we've got all these things, yes, but can we afford half of it? And I know money for me has felt like a barrier at times, where I've just not been able to afford to maybe produce the things to the standard I want it to be, because I can't afford that level yet. Or I don't have the time because I'm working these other jobs. And do you know what I mean? And eventually I've come away from certain jobs that I'm just like, no. So I don't have a full-time job. I'm fully freelance, different projects, which is another challenge. Yeah, exactly. Because you have literally so many hats all of the time, and you feel like you've got so many things going on. However, it works better for me because I felt quite restricted with my time when I had a contracted job where they need me in the office Monday to Friday, 9 till 6, because I don't know about 9 to 5s anymore.
It doesn't exist, sorry.
We're not there anymore. Sometimes it's 9 till 8.
No, I have a 9 to 6 job apart from Wempower, and I can tell you that I leave the office most of the time at 7, 8.
This is what I mean. 9 to 5 is a bit outdated. We need to update that one now.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think it's a weird one as well, because I think anyone listening that doesn't live in London right now, I think, my goodness, you live in London. What are you talking about? Like everything's on your doorstep, which it is. And I know a lot of things, especially within the industry, have been very London-centric. And I know, for instance, radio and stuff and creative industries have moved out to like places like Birmingham, Manchester, all of that, which is great. However, London then attracts loads of people. And then it can sometimes feel like you are just a little fish swimming in a big pond. And if you don't have the money to get access here or the resource or whatever, it can feel like you're drowning sometimes.
Very overwhelming also.
Yeah, very overwhelming.
Having also a higher choice is not that easy neither.
Exactly.
And yeah, I feel that I think money does pose a big obstacle to access to a lot of these opportunities, and especially maybe for women, and maybe for women or even men and boys and girls that come from different backgrounds and different situation in this city, makes things even more complicated. So I think, yeah, we do have an opportunity, but at the same time, it's just like all about keep floating.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep
and
swimming.
also because you are here, you kind of, I think in London we have this mentality of like, just do more, do more, do more, do more, do more, do more. And I think I love this quote of like, wisdom is knowing when enough is enough, and like knowing when actually you've done enough and it's okay. But you go online, you see everyone like they're doing, you're like, oh, I need to be doing that. And because it is visible to us, and I guess in some ways accessible, yes, then suddenly the goalpost is moving higher constantly, or moving always. And you're like, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. So yeah, sometimes, yeah, living in London, it is a blessing and a curse at the same time. But I wouldn't change it, because I don't know where else I would live. It would, maybe years ago would have been America, but I'm not really a fan of the current president.
Now it would be a very, very difficult decision to make.
I know,
think.
exactly. So yeah, but yeah, I think that it can be somewhat. Well, the money aspect, yes, definitely is a barrier. Yeah.
And because you mentioned that as women, and also yourself, you felt that sometimes you needed to shrink, in order to fit into certain places. To the women who are listening to us today, what advice would you give to stop shrinking and just...
Without swearing, you just F it. You have to just get to the point. Do you know what I realised as well? So I grew up as a people pleaser. It was a coping mechanism for me to manage difficult environments and whatever. And I think anyone listening who is a people pleaser, they've probably had similar experiences. Maybe they've gone into quite turbulent environments and people pleasing, which is an element of shrinking yourself, because you are minimizing your own needs, you're neglecting your own needs and prioritizing other people's needs. And sometimes we've had to do that to survive and look after ourselves. But then there comes a time when we don't need to do that anymore. And we actually need to expand ourselves and take up more space and say no. And because of the double standards there are when it comes to how we view men and women, for a man, they might be seen as very assertive, or they might be seen as a leader for having these qualities of being able to say no and knowing exactly how they like things. Whereas a woman, you could be seen as being difficult, or you could be seen as, I don't know, just, like, oh God, she's a bit too much. And it's just remembering, actually, it's the lens in which people are looking at things. And I've come to realize that at the end of the day, I have to go home and sleep in my bed and be at peace with my decisions. And also with this career, no one's going to build it for me. So if I keep asking for less or taking up less space and thinking that's going to get me anywhere, it's absolutely not. Because then someone else is going to come in with that audacity and they're going to run with it. Because also talent is great, but you have to have other things that come with that talent. And you have to be able to be like, this is what I need. No, that's not okay. And also with that, we start to change the environment. We change the dynamic in that way. I've definitely had working relationships where I know some people maybe have found me quite difficult, but I know my narrative. And I know how much it's taken me to get to this point. And it's not me. Actually, it comes from passion. It's because I care about it a lot. And I know what I need to bring the best version of myself. And why would I be working on this if I don't want to do it to its the best ability? So I have to. And I think I'm doing everyone a favor by saying exactly what I need and speaking up and saying things, because also my lived experiences allow me to see things in a way that maybe some people couldn't. So if I'm not speaking up about that, and that might come with people rolling their eyes and be like, oh, yeah, it's fine, that's great. But I have to be at peace with my decisions.
Absolutely.
And feel like I've walked into spaces really representing who I am. Because the last thing I want is to come away from somewhere and I'm not happy with the work because I didn't speak up. So that's what I would say. Speak up. You have to be at peace with your decisions. Sometimes people won't get it now, but they'll come to get it later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You talked about visibility before, and I know that you launched the Under 5K Club, which focus on spotlighting incredible talent regardless of their followers, which is something very against actually what's happening on the social media algorithm right now. So this is an industry that is often very obsessed with virality, metrics, algorithm, numbers. So why was it important for you to create a space that prioritizes raw talent and community rather than numbers?
So the story is, I had my show on BBC Radio London. It was every Thursday, 8 till 10. I got on the radio by winning a competition. So it was a very unconventional route of getting there, where essentially it was about new talent. It was about bringing fresh voices, giving people a chance. And I was that person, and that launched a whole broadcasting career for me. So I know what it feels like to be given a chance or to be spotlighted, maybe when you haven't got what everyone else has at the time, which unfortunately nowadays is like follower count and stuff like that. So when my show came to an end because of all the schedule changes, that was a very difficult time for me, because so much of my identity had become like BBC Radio London, the show I had, which I needed that wake-up call actually, because I don't own BBC. I don't own BBC Radio London. I had a slot on the radio. I made it my show, but there was nothing to say that like no one else could come in and do that show as well. So anyway, I then needed something to keep going with the audiences I had built, and this also identity, this extension of this identity that I had built myself. And a lot of people knew me for championing new talent. That's the one thing I wanted to do. It was like, great, I'm on a radio station that has loads of listeners. I want to bring in artists that aren't that established, because also what a great way to discover new artists, because there are your avid radio listeners, believe it or not. There are still people that love to just switch on the radio and turn off, and they want to trust the presenters and trust. And also it's a bonus to be brought into new music, and I used to love doing that on the show. And I had people messaging me like, I love your music taste. You told me about all the festivals. You've introduced me to this artist. So I love that. And I wanted to continue it basically. And it gave me the opportunity to build something of my own. And also the element of me recording the videos is I knew the next step I wanted to take was going into TV. And actually I still kind of battled with watching myself on camera. So this was my way of getting used to just talking to the camera, and also continuing something I was really passionate about. And also in a way of saying like, it shouldn't matter what platform I'm doing it on. The value is in who the artist that I'm talking about. And especially I had felt it myself. Well, actually, I had seen in emails going around of like, oh, we're looking for a music artist. They need to have over 10,000 followers. And I would constantly see this thing of like, whether not even just music artists, creatives. And it's like, they need to have over X amount of followers. And me also not having that many followers as well. I just thought like, guys, we are just limiting the amount of excellence that we could be tapping into. Why does this even matter? And I'm grateful that we are kind of moving away from that now, where follower counts do matter, but we know that doesn't mean engagement. We know that doesn't actually mean they have a community. It doesn't really mean what once upon a time we thought it did. So I wanted to build something that just kind of put a middle finger up to this obsession with follower counts. And I had a lot. I remember I wrote a list. I said, who could I speak about? And then I recorded a video of me talking about the idea, because I knew if I just left it in my head, I wasn't going to do it, because no one was going to hold me accountable. So I just put out a video and I said, guys, I'm thinking of this idea. it's going to be called the Under 5K Club, and I want to talk about music artists with under 5,000 followers. And I had quite a large response to that. And I was like, okay, people are locked in now. And I released my first video talking about an artist called Aisha Raquel, and she's doing amazingly as well. And then, I just done it on a weekly basis. Now, at the time, I didn't have much work going for me as well. So I knew I had a lot of time, basically. And then I came up against the challenge of now I've got more work going on, finding the time to create the videos. So I also have to say it's been a while since I've made an under 5K video. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's gone away. It's just that I need to find a sustainable way of me doing it. So it might be more seasons. But also off the back of these under 5K videos did open up a lot of doors for me. I got a sponsorship from No Zakari, which is an amazing leather goods brand. He's actually based in Hackney. And the CEO, the founder of that brand, loved this concept. And he even said, Amelia, this is what I would do if I wasn't in the fashion industry. I'd do something like this. So then actually, he was like, I want to help you. What does that look like for you? So he allowed me to put on my first under 5K show, which was during London Fashion Week last year, which was great because I was like, oh, wow, amazing. And then also he was like, right, how can I financially support with resource? And then I was also like, I'd really want to start my own podcast too. So really, I think with the under 5K club, which still is going, I think it was also about a stepping stone for me. It was about me really establishing, okay, who is Amelia Poamz away from other platforms? What is my own platform? That allowed me to have the Amelia Poamz podcast now. And for instance, put on those shows and just experiment with what I want to do and how I want to use my voice online, like what it is that I want to do. But it is something on my to-do list where I'm like, I need to get back to making the videos, and it will happen. I've just been a little bit burnt out.
It's okay. Well, you said it here, so we can all make you accountable for it.
It's going to happen,
ask you for a new episode or a new series. But, and have you noticed if in some way the Under 5 Club had an impact on the artist as well that you spotlighted?
Oh, 100%. For me, the main reason why, in full transparency, I was like, okay, if I make videos dedicated to an artist, that one, they have no idea that I'm making this art. That was one thing. No one would know.
Okay.
So they couldn't. I mean, now I've created a form where people can submit themselves as well because it was growing in a lot of attention. And I thought, actually, I can't be everywhere all at once. So let me allow people to just submit themselves. But for me, especially at the beginning, it was just like, wouldn't it be nice just to wake up one morning and someone's just made a whole video about you and you didn't even know and you were just doing your thing, and it was this reminder of you never know who's watching, you never know what's going to just come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I want to make people feel good, that like keep going, you're doing your thing, but then also we're going to collaborate on this post. So then also your community are going to know who I am as well, because they're going to be like, oh wow, yay, she supports this person, but also my community are going to know who you are. So it was, there had to be a business mentality behind it. Yeah, exactly. There had to be something that also I was going to get out of it. But I think the most rewarding thing would be getting the messages from the artist, being like, Amelia, thank you so much. This means so much to me. This is the best video I've ever had. No one's ever said this. Thank you. Like, I really feel seen. I really feel like you get it. And that was enough for me. And I've noticed sometimes, maybe with artists that I didn't have much of a rapport with, maybe I wouldn't get that. And it's like, and even though it's like, that's not a guarantee and it shouldn't just be about that, I would notice that I'd feel a bit like, oh, like, sorry, send me a message like, did you like it or not? And and the thing is, I had to also, and I think that's also why on this pause, I'm like, you're not always going to get, and it shouldn't be about that validation from the other person, because it really should just be about, well, I like your music and I think you're great and I'm going to say it regardless. But majority of the videos, like I probably say 90% of the videos, the feedback I got was like, just that was enough for me, was enough. And then from other people as well, just being like, I mean, I love what you're doing. And to the point, it got to a time where people, they were like, oh, you do the under 5K club videos. And it really, really was taking off, which now when I'm saying that, I'm like, and then I just stopped. I lost the momentum, but it's okay. Because then I started doing the podcast, which... as you know, podcasting takes a lot of
It's
time.
hard.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard.
So,
I
yeah.
don't think it's lost. I think maybe the under 5K club will find another shape to be, you know? Like,
and I think sometimes, and that's something I've also learned as a creative, is don't be afraid of the pauses. Don't be afraid of the silence. Don't be afraid of those moments where you do have to take a step back and actually reflect and refine, and that's okay. But I know in this like ever going, like I feel like we're all on treadmills, especially when it comes to the online space. It's like you constantly feel like, well, if I'm not posting something, I'm going to be forgotten. And it's reminding yourself that you're not actually, and if actually what you have holds real value, it's just going to marinate. It's fine. And also some of the videos I made of artists, they've gone on to do incredible things. And that's part of their history now. They're like, oh yeah, Amelia made this video about me before I'd even achieved that. And that's fine. So sometimes things, they marinate. They get better in time. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, it's okay to take a pause.
I think it's a good reminder, yes, to slow down the pace, take a pause. I myself as well, sometimes I think like, oh my God, I should post more, I should write this, or oh, I didn't have time to write the newsletter this week. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's okay. We are all human beings, you know, we are all like, it feels like, otherwise I'm like an hamster on the wheel, just repeating a task after the other every week.
Exactly.
And I notice sometimes that when I pause, actually that becomes, it's a pivot at the end, and that brings a different value or a different perspective to whether it's a product, a conversation, a podcast. I don't know. I think it just helps to put things in perspective again and just to see a little bit the bigger picture, because otherwise you just like focus on just being on, switch on constantly.
And I think actually for when you are building something up for yourself and you are at those beginning stages, those are one of the pros of being able to take time to pivot, because actually when you are very established and there are constantly all eyes on you all the time, you can't afford sometimes to stop or to make mistakes or to try things out. And I say this coming from working at large organizations like the Barbican, where things are constantly happening. So when you're trying to rebrand or sort this thing here, it can feel harder when you're like on a moving bus, basically trying to change the parts on a moving bus. So actually when you are growing something of your own and you have that ability to pause and no one's gonna die. It's like, do you know what I mean? Nothing terrible is gonna happen. It might just feel like, oh, okay. You might get a few questions of what's happening, but that's okay. The fact that even people are asking is
good.
somewhat,
It's
good feedback.
Yeah.
Do you know what they've noticed? And even that, how you ever going to know if you're always just on, going. So I think it's actually a pro within itself. But I know with capitalism can make us feel like if we're not doing anything, then we're not doing anything.
Yeah, you're just like, why do I even exist if I'm not producing, if I'm not making something?
Exactly.
I think it's a very good reminder. And also, I think it's very special what you've done with the club, in the sense that sometimes I think, you know, artists would reach out to people to say like, can I come? And searching for interviews, searching for a spotlight or an opportunity, you know, to showcase what they're doing. But in this sense, it was you just, I think, a little bit like a gift, like something unexpected, a review of their work. And I think that's beautiful in an industry where it's just like you constantly on an outreach as well, like looking for people, it's not validation, but, you know, just looking to reach an audience, to sell a product, to sell your music. I think it's a very special perspective as well, no?
Yeah, and again, that just comes from me being tired of having to prove myself to people. So I just know what it feels like to be like, wow, you see it, you get it, and I just didn't have to do anything for that. And I think sometimes we need those reminders that you never know who's watching and who's appreciating. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, like, because this is still a very fast-paced world, environment, media are constantly changing. Where do you find moments of pure joy or like pure flow?
Oh, pure joy. Do you know what, actually? So I recently started DJing. It was on my list of things that I wanted to do. I said, I need to learn how to DJ because one, people assume as a radio presenter, you know how to DJ. And I was just pressing buttons on that station. I didn't know how to DJ. So I was like, but I love music. So yeah, and I think even like Elijah, hold tight, Elijah is an amazing creative. He has his yellow squares, and even he says, if you love music, you should learn how to DJ. And I think I saw that, and that was like my final sign. So then my brother bought me some small decks, and actually a good friend of mine called Biggs allowed me to go around his, and he taught me on his decks. And then when my brother bought me my own, I started practicing at home. And honestly, I would just start practicing and the whole day would go by and I haven't eaten, I haven't done anything. And I'm like, wow, this is real flow state because I don't even know what time it is. I haven't even looked at my phone. I'm just completely in the zone, just enjoying, experimenting, playing, listening to music as well. And I think that definitely for me, I was like, wow, this is real flow state. So there's that. But then there's also presenting and hosting. I love it. And facilitation. I love it when I'm doing it. At the time, I always have a thought of like, why do I do this? Because the nerves naturally come. And I know it's because I care about what I do and I want to make sure I don't stumble my words and I say everything properly and I make sure I kind of tick off all the things I'm supposed to say. But then when I get into it, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm like, this is all I want to do is just talk.
Use your voice.
Yeah, I just love it. I love it.
And where do you find inspiration?
Podcasts. I love listening to podcasts. Okay. I normally, before my knees decided to take a rest on me, I love going for long runs or walks in my local park and listening to a podcast. And they're normally philosophical ones or ones about health as well. So I was even listening to one the other day about breathing and the quality of our breathing and nose breathing and how mouth breathing is causing a lot of our issues. And I just love to I love learning, basically. Just learning and listening. But also, it's my art. It's my craft. Listening to how people interview. I love, how they handled that conversation there or how they got a bit more out of someone. So yeah, I definitely podcast, but then also going to gigs, watching films, going to the theatre, just being an audience member, consuming, I think also is very, very important. It's a part of rest. It's creative rest, just actually filling your cup creatively and just observing, absorbing as well. That's really important.
If there was an advice that you could share with young women probably that are listening to us today and they would like to access the music industry or broadcasting, or what advice would you give? Do
what you can from where you are with what you have. That's what I would say. So whether it's music, just get in a studio, just create. Just if you've got people around you, collaborate across. Just start with what you have from where you are. I think a lot of the time what can prevent us is we know where we want to be and we get so caught up on how am I going to get there or what I want to create isn't at the level that I want it to be, and that can prevent us from, that's procrastination, perfection, being a perfectionist. It stops us from doing anything. So just, it's so cliche, but just start, just play around, just do it, just go for it and then put it out there. I think that's even for me, Amelia Poamz was birthed from me sharing poetry online. And I was never, ever going to share poetry online because that was for me. That was my way of processing the things I was going through at the time. But then I thought, should I share this on Instagram? And then I did. And then I took it down within 5 minutes. But a friend of mine messaged me. She's like, why did you take that down? It was amazing. And I said to her, well, why didn't you say anything? Because no one said anything. And I just thought, this is cringe. And I took it down. She was like, no, actually, I want you to perform at an event I'm putting on. And then I performed at her event. And it was like a massive event. It was for a brand that she owned at the time. And it was all about women's empowerment. And I wrote a poem especially for that. That was about things that I'd been going through. So, breakups and self-worth and all of that. And I shared that. And the response I got was incredible. And then suddenly people wanted me to perform in other places. And that's where Poamz comes from. My friend was like, you need a name. You need a poetry name. And I was like, Poamz, okay. Amelia Poamz. And if I hadn't just took out my phone, started writing poetry on my phone, decided to share it. Literally, I think I went on whatever editing app I had at the time and edited it in a nice little fancy way, put it out. Then I don't know actually what I'd be. I don't know if I'd be sat here right now. I don't know if Amelia Poamz would be a thing. I don't know. So just do it. Just start. Don't care too much about what other people think at first. Be discerning with the feedback you get. Yes, though, because obviously some people are going to be like, hey, you know, try it like this, improve like that. But yeah, just start. Just go for it. And then also know that you're going to be in for a long journey. It's not going to be immediate success. No,
it would be too easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, don't believe to immediate success that you can see on social media, because definitely they didn't go from A to Z in one night. That took time, you know.
They say an overnight success.
Yeah,
about
it's
10
not,
years.
It's not.
Exactly. It took 10 years to be an overnight success. So yeah, if
it takes time.
Ready to commit, especially when it gets hard. Because if you give up when it gets hard, what's the point?
Absolutely.
So yeah. That's a reminder to me too.
Yeah, we have to be a little bit more courageous with our idea. And sometimes maybe we just resonate with 10 people, but at least you put it out there, you tried. No one can take that away from you. And as you say, if you didn't do it, maybe we will probably having a completely different conversation here today.
Yeah.
And you would have experienced very different things in the past year. So yeah, absolutely.
Actually, just also another tip that I think is really important that I definitely have exercised during my career is pivot. Learn when to pivot as well. Because like I mentioned in this, acting was my first love. That's what I thought I wanted to do. Then that kind of, and I mean, I went to go and study theatre and whatever, and I wanted to be a performer. And then poetry was like a pivot. And then hosting was like a pivot. And then broadcasting was a pivot. So don't be afraid to pivot. Because actually, what you thought you wanted to do, actually, you might come to learn that there's actually something else that you're like, oh, no, I like this a bit more. So don't be afraid to pivot.
I think society make us think that a career is like a straight line, but actually you can allow yourself a little bit, like a turn here, a turn there, and you don't have to achieve everything by the time you're 30. I keep reading a lot of researches when it comes to women. Like we reach the top of our game past 40, 50, and it's because you lived a full life of experiences, and you see what you like, what you enjoy the most, what is aligned with you. So yeah, if it's straight, I don't really trust it, to be fair. Like I think a life has to be a little bit with some bumps as well along the way, so otherwise you don't learn, you don't develop. So absolutely love it. Love it. When you think about the future, what's next for Amelia?
What is next?
TV, maybe?
World domination. I'm joking. No, I mean, I really want to get into TV presenting, and I've been a lot more vocal about that recently now, where I'm like, I have to say it. I have to tell people. I have to start putting it out there, putting it in the universe. So definitely would love to get into TV presenting. Yeah, just to become a established name that people want, that when you hear Amelia Poamz is hosting an event, you're like, oh, we've got to go to that because, you know, she's going to be amazing. She's really going to have those insightful conversations. Or you turn on your radio, you hear me, or we got to listen to Amelia Poamz, and just become just the best at what I do, really. That's like the main aim. And I mean, also, there are some other strands and adventures I'd love to go down. Like, I'd love to write a book. Would really love to write. And it's been something on my mind quite a lot recently, where I'm like, I think that's my sign to just start that. Just start with what I have from where I am.
Would that be a book about your life? Or
I think there's parts of me that I'm like, we need more stories about single women who are over 30. Yay. We need more stories. Yeah,
absolutely.
We need more. So I'm like, I maybe need to write about my life in a coded way, maybe. Because also just dating now, I know a lot of women are just almost actively choosing to be single. And I love that for a lot of women. Also, a lot of women are actively choosing not to be mothers. And I love that as well, because we deserve choice.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? But also, I'm really fascinated with the mother-daughter relationship because my own experience. So I'd love to like write something around that, or maybe even like a play
Or poetry.
Yeah,
Book,
I could start
maybe.
with the poetry. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, but then also I'd love maybe some directing as well. I don't know. I'm excited with different ventures that I could still go into, because I've learned that everything I've experienced and every role I've been in has been just building these set of skills that I just carry with me elsewhere, and then I learn more skills, and then I carry, and then I learn. But then also all the people that I meet that see something in me and go, actually, do you know what, you'd be great for this? Because I've been quite lucky in a sense of a lot of the roles I've had have come from recommendations or people just wanting me to be a part of something. So,
and that's really important as
yeah,
well.
reputation.
Surround yourself with a network that empowers you, that
Yeah.
offers you possibilities, opens door for you. Say your name when you're not there, because
yeah.
otherwise many opportunities would be still locked for you, or maybe you wouldn't even think about being that person, or
Yeah.
having a thought of like, oh, maybe I want to write a book, or I want to direct this, I want to write this. So
Yeah, and I think I've been very fortunate to have a lot of supportive people around me. I've got a very supportive network that will say my name in rooms that I'm not in, or will send me things and be like, you should do this. And sometimes I'm even like, wow, you think I should do that? I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should do that. So yeah, absolutely, it's so important to have people around you. But then it also goes both ways to ensure that you're as supportive with them as well. But yeah, I'm excited for the future. I'm like, this is taking me somewhere.
Well, you're definitely developing this thread
Yeah,
further. So
yeah.
it looks like a very hopeful and joyful and experimenting kind of future,
Yeah.
no?
Fun, like
Fun.
play.
Yeah,
Having fun.
it. I like it. Well, Amelia, it's been like, I think we could even stay here for the whole night talking. But I'm conscious as well of who is going to listen to us hours and hours talking. But we can record another episode maybe in a year time or something like that. You can tell me what you've done from the list that we just shared here today. It would be very, very interesting. But thank you so much for being on When Power Podcast and for sharing your experience, your knowledge, and your kind and beautiful energy with our audience today.
Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to join the brilliant roster of women that you've had so far. So thank you.
Thank you so much. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to follow us on all social media at WhenPowerUK. Visit our website at www.whenpower.co to discover more stories, events, and resources. And as always, remember that together we empower women. Till the next time.